Hey guys, welcome back again. Um, so I told you guys in my previous video that I was going to do another story time, or yeah, like maybe about my son's birth or something. But I actually wanted to do a story time on my little girl Haley, um, on her. Um, So this is kind of a long story, but I know that October is Infant Loss Awareness Month. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to tell that story. So if you're interested in hearing about Haley and her story, just keep watching. So sorry, Jason. And before I go any further, I need to address the shirt. Sorry, I do not know what's going on here. Could not fix it. But anyways, so you guys know that I've told you guys that when I was 13, I was prescribed the Xanax, that whole shebang thing. That ain't a shebang. I don't know why I use that word, but that whole thing. So I was on the Xanax, and then I'd gotten to where I could manage it, kind of, but not really. And then I got pregnant. I was very young. I'm gonna just go ahead and say how old I was, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have been through this and nobody talks about it. I was 14 years old. I was 14 years old. And you guys know everything that happened. The Xanax, my dad, my mom coming back, all of that. So I found out I was pregnant, and I don't remember the exact date, but I was 14, and obviously I could not take Xanax. And when I talk about anybody in this video, like my mom is mainly what I'm talking about in this, or saying this about, I don't want any judgment towards her, because she was an addict, and she was going through a lot in her personal life. Not my story to tell, but she didn't really know either. So that'll all make sense in a minute. But so I was pregnant with Haley, and I was with her father throughout the whole pregnancy. And I was with her father for about a year, I'd say, before I got pregnant. Maybe a little less, but I'm pretty sure a year before I got pregnant with Haley. So I get pregnant with Haley. I'm 14 years old. I go to a baby doctor's appointment. Everything's okay. Me and her dad got along. We lived together, but I was 14. He was 17 or 18 at the time. Anyways, so I lived with my grandmother and my aunts. He lived with his mom at the time, and so we didn't live together, but we stayed together either mostly at his mom's, because my grandmother she didn't like that. So he stayed at his mom's a lot. But so I was pregnant, and really there's not much to tell about the pregnancy. It's been a very long time ago now, and I can't really remember much. I mean, it was a good pregnancy, except for I was only 23 and a half weeks pregnant, so almost 24 weeks. So I wasn't very far along at all. And when I went into labor with her, so there was no signs of anything. I went to every doctor's appointment. there was never any signs that she could be premature or anything. My age, I don't know if that a factor or not. They never said. But so yeah, I went to every appointment I was supposed to go to. Like I was young, but I was excited. I was terrified. I was so terrified because I was so young, and because I had all of that anxiety before, and now I couldn't treat it with the Xanax. Obviously, I was pregnant, and being pregnant at such a young age just gave me like 10 times more anxiety. So I was very anxious throughout my whole entire pregnancy. Like I was scared every day. So I remember the day that I went into labor. And I do want to say that I was in a very abusive relationship with the father. Physical abuse, mental, a lot of mental abuse, but a lot of physical abuse. And something happened that day. On this, our neighbor, which was his cousin, had kids, and she had like a swing set and all that, and we were on the swing sets, and something happened, and I ended up off the swing set and on the ground, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But so that might have been even the night before, but I want to say it was that day, early in the morning. So my mom, like I said, was going through a lot, and with my dad being just, they just being ripped away from all of us, and her having to move back with my grandmother, who they did not have a good relationship. And my mom was just trying to make it, I guess, and she was trying to rebuild a relationship. Me and her were, but, and I also have an older sibling, a sister, and then a younger sibling, a brother. But my older sister lived with her grandmother, my dad's mom, and my brother, lived with his dad. So he has a different dad than me and my sister do. Or than me and my sister, yeah. Than my sister and I do. My God. Anyways, so we didn't have the best relationship because whenever I was going through the year of anxiety and a panic attack, I literally drove her crazy. I know I did. I could not imagine having to deal with it because, like I said, she could not take her crap without me being in the room. She could not go anywhere. I had to be right by her side. I was constantly like, Mom, I'm passing out. Mom, I'm gonna die. Mom, I feel like this. Mom, I feel like that. And, finally, we went to the doctor and got some relief, but she still, then when I learned to do it for a little bit and then I got pregnant, it all kind of came back. Not as bad, but it came back. And so that morning, I noticed I started having cramps. But mind you, I was 14. My mom, unfortunately, nobody, but my mom or nobody had explained anything to me about pregnancy. I knew nothing. I didn't know any symptoms that to look for or anything. And so I had been telling my mom all day, like, I'm hurting, I'm feeling pressure, like I'm feeling cramps. And she was like, you're fine, Lexi, you're fine, like you're overreacting. Because like I said, like not long before this, I did overreact a lot. I don't want to say overreact, because when you're having panic attacks, anybody out there who is, you're not overreacting. Like, it is so real. So she thought I was overreacting and just freaking myself out. So she was like, you're fine. So hours went by that day, and we were at our neighbor's house. Not the same neighbor that I was talking about, that was the father's cousin. Another neighbor, sorry, confusing. Try to stay along with me. I'm all over the place. But we was at another neighbor's house, and my mom was like, you want to straighten, like, I don't know, she wanted me to straighten her hair, so I was straightening her hair, and I got the worst pain ever. And I had been crying, and I was like, okay, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I remember my mom, and she regrets this to this day, so please again, no hate, but she was so mad that she was going to have to get up in the middle of the night, like it was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 probably, and take me to the hospital, probably for nothing, is what she had said, because she thought I was overreacting. And in my town, again, you guys know I live in a very small town, and our hospital is not, you could go there for like colds and flus, like little things like that. Like if you have a minor cut and need stitches, like 5, if you need more of that, I would suggest go somewhere else. But anyways, so we don't have the best hospital. There is no doctor. There is no doctor, OB doctor. There's no doctor that could take care of a baby. There isn't even any equipment to have a baby there. I remember they had one incubator in one of the rooms that they said they hadn't used in like a decade, literally. Like you could tell that it was very old. But when I got to the hospital, they knew how far along I was. They knew my age, and you have to tell them all that. And they knew like the pain that I was having. And there's a big sign on the wall, like if you're pregnant and you're having these symptoms, you are supposed to be sent back immediately. They did not. I was left in the waiting room for 2 hours until I collapsed on the floor, literally. And during those 2 hours, I kept running back and forth to the bathroom, and I kept saying, it literally felt like I had to poop. And I was like, Mom, and I think my mom started to get worried at that point a little bit, because she's had 3 kids, like she knows, like, so I kept going back and forth, and nothing was happening, but the pain was like, the pressure was so unreal, like it hurt so bad. And I was like, again, I was so young, I was so terrified, and the pain literally ended up getting so bad that I'd collapsed on the floor. When I collapsed, they finally came and got me, and I don't even think they put me in a wheelchair. I think they literally made me walk to the room. But anyways, when I got into the room, the doctor came in and was literally physically pushing me, because I kept trying to raise up, and I was like, I'm something drunk. And they kept pushing me down, saying, you've just got a UTI. Just calm down. Take this cup, and go to the bathroom and give us a urine screen or urine analysis. And so I was like, okay. So I take the cup and I go into the bathroom, and like so here's my room, and where all the nurses sat is like right here in front of me, or like kind of like this actually. So when you walk out of the room, you have to walk this way and around the station, and then down to the left. It wasn't very far, but when I get to the bathroom and I pull down my pants, and this is a trigger warning for, I don't even know, like it's kind of TMI, but when I pulled down my pants, I felt something. And when I reached down, it was this, I didn't know at the time, but it was hurt. It was a sack of water just sitting there. I freaked out, and I literally ran out of that bathroom with my pants half down, and I was like, there's something there, like she's out. And they were like, they rushed me back to the room, put me on the bed, and looked. And when they looked, their faces went, they like turned white. The nurses turned white. The doctor, he was like, they instantly called for a helicopter. So from where the hospital they were sending me to, driving distance, it's almost a 2-hour drive from where I live. The helicopter, it was a ride, it was like 13 to 15 minutes. So I was scared because I feel guilty to this day, or I used to feel a lot more guilty, but I know now, where I was so young, I was terrified. I was so afraid that I was going to die. I didn't really realize that it was my daughter that was in danger. But anyways, so they were like, okay, she's right there in the amniotic, in the sac. Please don't move. Do not push, no matter what you do. And then I start bleeding. And actually, right before that, I started bleeding. And they had a woman come in that went to school to be an OB and ended up switching her profession to something else. And she's like, you're having a miscarriage. You're having a miscarriage. And my mom at this point was like, she knew. And I was like, I can still feel her kicking. I knew, I was having a little girl. I said, she's kicking. Like, no, I'm not. She's alive. She's kicking. Like, this is not a miscarriage. So, but they had sent for the helicopter, and my mom got very upset because she's like, she is not having a miscarriage. Like, this baby is kicking like she's alive. And they found the heartbeat, all of that. And so we waited on the helicopter to get there. And when the helicopter came, I begged, please come on, Mom, please come on the helicopter with me. And she was going to go, but they were like, no, it was like a stormy night or a windy night, and they were like, we had to bring extra fuel, so we can't, it's like dangerous to have another person come on. So my mom could not go. So they gave me like morphine and like some kind of something to calm my nerves. I don't remember what it was. But they gave me morphine and something to calm my nerves. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Until I got on the helicopter, the medicine immediately wore off as soon as we were in the air. And I knew my mom and them were headed straight to me, but I knew it was going to be another hour and a half before I seen them at the least. I was terrified I would have the baby and be alone before they got there. And, so on the helicopter, they kept shoving. It was a lady that was back there with me. She kept shoving towels between my legs because I was bleeding so much. And she's like, please. She started begging me, please, and literally crying, don't have this baby on here, don't have this baby on here. And I was thinking like I was crying. I'm like, I don't know what to do, because at that point, my body started pushing itself. My body started contracting and pushing itself. I could not control it. So she was terrified. She said, if you have this baby on here, she will not make it. Please, Alexis, please don't push. And I was like, I'm trying. I don't know what to do. Can you give me any more medicine? And luckily I didn't have her on the helicopter. And I told them on the helicopter, I said, please, this is just shows like how young I was, but I was like, on the movies, like when they land the helicopter and they, like on Grey's Anatomy, and there's like 20 doctors that come out and run with you. Please do not do that. Please. My anxiety, I'm scared, I'm terrified. Like, as soon as we landed, there was like 10 doctors. They came and like just ran with me as fast as they could into the elevator and down to labor and delivery. And the whole time they were like, there were so many of them. They were checking my blood pressure and all of that. And I just kept saying, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? And they got so annoyed with me that they finally were like, you are going to be fine, but we don't know about your baby, okay? Your baby. And I started crying because I started to feel guilty. I was like, well, I don't, I'm worried. I am worried about my daughter, but I was so scared that I was going to die. Like, my anxiety, I was terrified. And I held that with me for a long time. But so they get me into a room and they hook me up to IVs instantly. I think they even, I don't know, I swear I think they put the IV in the elevator, but they didn't put any medicine, but just the IV. But so we get into a room and they're like, your family's gonna be here soon, you're okay. They did stay with me. The nurse from the helicopter stayed with me for like 45 minutes, and she's cried because they ended up getting another call and she had to leave. And again, was so young and such a big baby that I was crying because I didn't want her to leave. That's the only person I feel like I had that I felt comfortable with. And she cried and she held my hand and she's like, I promise you everything's going to be okay. Your parents are going to be here soon. Your family's coming. You're going to be okay. And they had given me steroid shots, the hospital did, that they flew me to. They gave me steroid shots, and they were on, I think you're supposed to get either 2 or 3. And whatever they gave me, like if it was 2, I got 1. If it was 3, I got 2. I can't remember. But there was one that I was supposed to have gotten and didn't get it in time. But to try, and they give you that when you're going like into premature labor like that, and it'll supposed to go straight to the baby to help their lungs. So they had given me that and given me something to stop the labor for temporarily, which did until my family made it. Thank God that my family made it, because I don't know what I would have done. So my family makes it, and a doctor comes in and says, your baby is going to come out, take 1 breath, and die. Would you like for us to dispose of her here, or do you want us to call a funeral home? And when they said my mom, it was like I just couldn't believe that they had said that, and it blew my mind. I was like, what? Like, no, do not dispose of her here. Like, what do they even do? I don't know. I was like, no. And no, she's not going to take 1 breath and die. Like, no, she's not. So that really bothered me. And my grandmother, who actually just passed away this year, sorry, my voice, had told me, because she had a stillborn years ago, but she said, Lexi, don't look at her when she's born. And I was like, why? And she's like, just don't look at her. If you look at her and she doesn't make it, it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. So that really stuck in the back of my head. But when she was, I looked straight. I could not. I like instantly looked straight at her. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So after that happened, the doctor come in. He didn't come back in for a while, but nurses come in and check me, and it wasn't long. After my mom got there, probably like 30 minutes, a nurse came in, and she checked me, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna see, like, I want you to push, but not like full force push, just barely push and see what happens. When I pushed, she came, and so the nurse started yelling for the doctor. And as soon as, before he could even walk in there, she came all the way out, and the water busted. So she was born it's still in the sack, but it busted as soon as she came out. So they had a team. The nurse came and she's like, we have a team for you and a team for your baby. Your baby is not doing good. Her breathing is not good, so you can't see her right now. We're going to have to take her on up. But I did. When she came out, I seen her, and she was literally purple. But they took her on up to the NICU, and they, because I still had a catheter in and everything. Like, it just happened so quickly. And so after they took her up to the NICU and they got me all finished up and all of that, I was finally able to see her. I want to say it was like 2 hours later, that we were able to see her. So we got to go in and see her. And I don't know if I was able to hold her that day. She lived 7 days. I want to say we weren't allowed to hold her until till this, I don't even, actually, we didn't get to hold her. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about my little girl Presley, holding her because she was premature too, just not as premature. But so I didn't get to hold Haley. I was able to go in. If you've been through this, you'll know they have the incubators and they have the little doors that you open. You can stick your hands in, change a diaper. Her dad and I changed the diaper. He changed the first diaper, like the first one that she had stool in, and like I saw pictures of everything, and it's amazing. Like we have a picture. I wish I could insert it, but I could post it if you guys would want to see. But I had taken a picture of her incubator, and where it was real humid in there. And I don't know if we had opened the doors or what, but there was a clear spot that was literally in the shape of angel wings, and it's an amazing photo. So we took pictures of her. She was 1 pound 5 ounces. Sorry, forgot to mention that. She was 1 pound 5 ounces when she was born. When she died, she didn't weigh a pound. Didn't even weigh a pound. So she was 1 pound 5 ounces, and she was a little jaundiced. So they had the lights on her and all of that. And they kept us in the Ronald McDonald House. I don't know if you have ever heard of the Ronald McDonald House, but it is amazing. I've been in it. I was when I had Presley, my daughter. Me and Kyle stayed in the Ronald McDonald House, and my mom. And when I had Haley, which this is before Presley, we got to stay there, and it was amazing. Like it's like literally like a humongous house. They have a huge kitchen and a huge refrigerator that you can go and get anything you want out of it, as long as it doesn't have people. You could put your own stuff in there. You just had to write your room number and your name. But they had other things in there that people donate, and you see the little things at McDonald's or other restaurants. But I know I've seen them at McDonald's. You can donate to the Ronald McDonald House. They really do spend that money on the Ronald McDonald houses. And they have a Ronald McDonald outside, and we took pictures of us with Ronald McDonald and stuff. But so we stayed there, and they also have breast pumps that you can use there, and they have machines that the breast pump machines that you can use outside in the hallways. You can use them in your room too, I think. Or maybe they just had them in the hallways. But you could go out there and use them, and they didn't have a TV in your room, but you could bring whatever you wanted, electronics or whatever. But they had a big family room. They had a game room, so that if you had other kids, they could stay with you. And it was just a huge game room. I thought arcade. It was like an arcade room, pretty much. They also had transportation. There was a schedule on the door every day. It was the same schedule every day, but when it would run, they would pick you up from there and take you to the hospital, and it would say what time they would be back. They also had that at the hospital, so you can look at it if you wanted to stay longer and see when the next pickup would be. The Ronald McDonald House, I am still so grateful for them. They helped a lot, and they bring in they had little bonnets made that people would make and donate, little crocheted. God, this hair is coming. Crocheted bonnets and shoes that people donate, and you could get those, which they didn't really fit her. She was a preemie, so we went and got a bunch of preemie clothes, and I was allowed to put some stuff on her, and also a family member had made Haley her own blanket, and when they're in the NICU at night, they'll put the blankets over the NICU, over their incubator, So she had that. And so we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House. And if anything, you could call and check on your child anytime that you wanted. And they don't call you unless something is wrong. And or they may call you to like, if they're going to change something up, like medication or anything like that, they'll call you. And they did call a couple times about like the medication. And I was so afraid to answer. I would not answer the phone. My mom, I made her answer the phone because I was terrified. And she started to get upset with me. You know, she's like, you have a child now, Lexi. Like, you've got to grow up. Like, you've got to grow up. You've got to do this. So the night that they called, the night that she was going to pass away, they called. The phone rang, and it was the hospital. And I was like, I'm going to answer it. And my mom's like, you are answering it. So I answered, and they said, you need to get to the hospital. We've done everything we could do. So the one time that I answered the phone, that's the call I got. So I got to the hospital, and they gave me several options, and for a long time I regretted my choice, and but I came to terms with it. But basically there was 3 options. I could leave her on all of the ventilators that she had been on, and she would slowly and painfully pass away. It could take up like 8 hours at the most. Or I could take her off of those ventilators, but she would still be hooked up to a bunch of cords, and we could finally, never been able to hold her, but the cords and stuff, she would still be, so it would last about 4 hours, they said. Probably less than that, but up to 4 hours. She would still be suffering, in my opinion, and for longer. Or I could take her off altogether, and if I could take her off altogether, they had this humongous room that literally was like kind of like a little studio apartment. It was so big, and they had rocking chairs in there, and just like couches, so that your whole family could come in, and you could hold the baby, and we could hold her, and pass around. Everyone could hold her, and get to say our goodbyes that way. And I chose to do it that way. And so all of my family was there, a lot of them, and all of his family was there. And so we all come into the room, and when you first come in, the nurse will come in and check the baby's heart rate. And I was holding Haley when they done that. So we held her, and everybody cried, and then we would laugh, we would cry and try to make the best of it. And everybody held her, and they came in again and checked her, and I was holding her, and it was slowing down. And so we held her for a little while longer, and the nurse came in again. And like I said, there was 20, maybe not 20, there was at least 15 people there, not including me and the father. So 15 family members. Everybody was taking turns holding her, and every time the nurse come in, I had her. The third time the nurse come in, I had her, and she listened to her, and she's like, it's getting slower. And then all of a sudden it stopped. So she died in my arms. And for so long, it took me so long to get over, and I'm not over it, but to come to terms with that out of everything, I'm glad now. I'm so glad that it was me, because she felt comfortable. being with her mommy, you know. And so finally, you know, they told me, and you know, everybody cried, and they gave us a few more moments, a few more minutes with her, and then they said, we need to decide, do you guys want us to call the funeral home, or they offered to let us take her home, deceased, in a car seat and drive her back 2 hours back home to the funeral home. I was like, the dad, he wanted to do it. He that's what he wanted to do. And I said, please, I can't. I cannot do it. There's no way that I can look at her for 2 hours. And after a baby, or after a person passes away, their body starts to, and she like I said, you guys, she was under a pound when she passed away. It wasn't going to take long. They even had to leave an IV in her head, because if they would have taken it out, it would have been terrible. I'm not going to go into graphic detail there, but it would have been bad. So I was like, please, let's not do it that way. I promise you'll regret it. That is going to be traumatizing in itself after everything. Please, I do not want to take her home like this. I said, please, let's let the funeral home come and get her. We can meet them right there at the funeral home. And we did. And they didn't have caskets for a baby that small. I mean, they didn't have a variety of caskets you could pick through. They had one casket that she could fit in. And so we got the casket and had to pick all that out. And put preemie clothes on her. They did not fit. I had to go and buy baby doll clothes. Baby doll clothes to buy my daughter in. And it came in a twin pack. And I still have the other outfit. And maybe one day, I don't know if it would be weird, but if you guys would ever like to see those things, because I kept a lot of things of hers, things that she laid on at the hospital and stuff like that. I could show you guys that. But I had to bury her in those baby doll clothes, and I thank the funeral home very much, because, like I said, I was 14, he was 18. We couldn't really afford a funeral and a burial. And we didn't know at the time, we just was like, okay. And whenever we was having the funeral, the funeral home, the director of the funeral came in and he said, I want you to know that this is just terrible, and we are going to waive the cost of everything. So anything you want, you can have. We're going to waive the cost of everything. And to this day, I'm very grateful for that. And I'm just very grateful that they done that. That was very kind, and it was very kind. So we had her funeral, and I had my church that I had went to during this time. I'm sorry, it's 38 minutes. During the time that she was in the hospital, the church that I go to, they don't do communion, or they don't take up. Is that what it's called? They don't pass the trays around and take up money. They don't do that. They have a box when you walk out of the because it's a big church, so not when you walk out of the church, when you walk out of where the pews and all that they have a box that you can donate in. But this when this happened, they done a slideshow of Haley. They came and visited her and us in the hospital just 2 hours away. They done a lot, but this was amazing. So they done this slideshow on Sunday, and told about my story and mine and his story and Haley's story. It was Haley's story, and they took his hat, her father's hat, and they said, we're going to pass this around. If you have it, to donate it. And we ended up raising over $1,000 from that. The church raised that for us, which helped tremendously because, like I said, we were 2 hours away from home. The Ronald McDonald House was amazing. It was amazing. But we still had to drive, which we didn't know it was just going to be 7 days either, but we had to drive back and forth from Lexington, I just said it, well, it's Lexington, Kentucky, to my hometown, and things like that. So they raised that money for us, and we didn't even ask. We didn't know it was a surprise, and it was an amazing surprise. I'll be forever grateful for that. And they also made jars that they set up at different stores and things for people to donate, and people did. People donated, and I was grateful for every dime. And my mom stayed with me that entire time, and I just want to emphasize that even though at the beginning, and to this day we have a good relationship, but not the best. But she stayed with me through everything. She's been with me through every single thing, whether she wanted to be or not, or she's been with me through everything, and I couldn't have done it without her because I was so young. And after that, she blamed herself a lot because she didn't believe me at first. But Mom, if you ever see this, I love you so much, and I never ever blame you for that. I never blamed you for that, and I never will. I know what you were going through at the time. You didn't know. And like I had said, like how I'd been before, like you had, you had the right to feel like I was just freaking out. But I don't want you to hold that against yourself. I don't want you to think that things would be different if you would have done anything different. It wouldn't have been. It was her time. It was in God's plan. I guess. I don't really want to go into religion. But I don't want my mom to ever feel any type of responsibility for what happened. No. I want her to know how much I appreciated her in those times and after. So, but yeah, Haley, and we let off balloons for her, like we do Kyle said, we let off balloons for Haley. It's been a while now, but I'll never forget her. And this tattoo, I wish I could show it to you guys better, but I actually had them take the exact size off of the, there you can see it, like how small it is. My nails are horrible. The actual birth certificate, they took the size, and that's the exact size of her footprint. Even like the little how the toes are closer on one of the feet, like that's how it was on the birth certificate. Like they done it identical, and it's in Hazard, Kentucky, and his name is Ike Fires. But that's who done the tattoo, and it's amazing. I've had this for a while, and it still looks great. So, and usually when you have small tattoos like how our name is, it kind of bleeds, but it's great. So I wanted to put this video out here for you guys. If you guys want to hear about Presley's birth story, which is crazy, or my sons, which is crazy, just let me know. But thankfully, Presley is 6 years old now, healthy as can be. Alex will be 2. That's his name, Alex, on the 1st, like I mentioned in my last video. And they're healthy, and they're just great. So I am thankful. After I lost Haley, just a few years later, I would get Presley, my miracle baby. And I'm so thankful for her. And I'm so thankful for you guys for watching my videos, and just for watching my videos. I just appreciate it. And I really hope that this story, somebody can relate to it. And if you are someone who has lost a child, miscarriage, I can't stand when people, if you have had a miscarriage, you are still a mother. You still lost a child. You don't have to have delivered the child for you to be a mother. You know what I'm trying to say. If you have been through that, I'm very sorry. And if it's been recently, just know that I promise time is the worst part, because it takes time, and time takes forever, it feels like, when you're in this kind of situation. But things do get better. They really do. And I just pray for all of you, and I really hope that you all can find peace in what has happened, and that you can have your miracle baby, and you will, you will. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm glad I was able to make this video. And I just, like I said, I want to say, for all you parents, mothers, and fathers out there who have been through this, it gets better, like I said. And they'll never be forgotten. They will never be forgotten. And if anyone wants to talk, you can always message me, like I said before my last video. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me on Facebook. I think you can message on YouTube. I'm just not sure how to yet. But I will leave that in the description. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like I said, if you have any questions, please just feel free to comment. If you don't care, like the video and subscribe. And turn your bell notifications on so you can know when I upload again. Even just watching, I really appreciate that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video again. And sorry, I keep looking away. And I cannot wait to see you guys again. Bye.